Funding meant for traders. Ment Funding.
All right, hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Ment Funding. Another competition has just finished, so happy Halloween to all those that are able to watch it just as we have completed this. We're actually quite a bit into the next month, but the 400,000 Halloween October competition has concluded not so long ago, and we've processed a lot of the data. And it's actually very interesting to look at this data and to look at all these results with you, because you're going to get a completely different perspective of what you can do right now. So let's go to the results. What you can do right now to actually give yourself a chance of getting one of these larger evaluations or even a smaller evaluation for completely free with Ment Funding when you undertake another competition with us. So as you guys know, we hold a competition every single month. Those competitions will lead you to win one of these accounts from 400K all the way down, which are naturally paid accounts, right? So you actually stand to gain a lot in the event that you win one of these accounts, right? It's not easy to win, don't get me wrong. There are rules associated with winning. There are other participants. There's a competition, right? However, it is a way for you to take your first step without ever having to put up money or anything like that. And you can actually teach yourself a lot about your own system by participating in these competitions. And then, of course, if you love the platform, if you love just working with Ment Funding in general, then you can, of course, go ahead and get yourself your own evaluation or whatever, right? Now that the October competition has actually concluded, right, what's really, really interesting is as we start looking at some of the competition standings here, you're going to see some insane things, right? 440% returns. You can see the rules do update month after month, and we play around with them, right? In this case, you can see there was no profit cap on the competition, so you could make as much as you wanted. However, very, very importantly, we do still have our rule. Let me see if I can find this. We do still have our very, very important rule, which is that you can still only make $10,000 off of any single trade. And this, of course, means for any that also go together, right? So we've spoken about this, like any trades taken in the same bulk of time that just add up to a huge, huge gain, we will discount and not even count, right? So what's really interesting before we even step into this is if I go to page 5, so as I just click through this, you can see we go all the way down to rank 50, and we just keep going to rank 90, and then we keep going to rank 100, and then we keep going. What's really interesting is that at the end of this all, 2,200 participants, right, 1,700 that were remaining, you can see the only ones that actually got ranked were up to 103. So in this case, what we're actually looking at when we're reviewing the winners now to find the top 14 is that we only have 103 places to work with. So if you really think about what that means that you could have a very, very small return. You can see Mr. Adhul Raj here actually only has a return of 0.04%, and yet he's already ranked in the top 103. And this is primarily due to some of our rules that basically limit kind of doing the crazy thing that a lot of people do in prop firm competitions, right? We have minimum numbers of losing trades. We have minimum loss rate. You can watch our video on this where we break it down. We have the maximum single trade profit. We have the drawdown expectation. We have minimum and maximum profit factors, so that we're not looking at people that are completely unprofitable, and that we're not looking at people that are just kind of all-inning, like insane profit factors. And you can go and watch the video on this. But overall, what this means, right, just so you all understand, is that there's only after a 2,000 member competition, there's only 103 that actually were ranked, which means when we choose our top 14 right now, today, in front of you guys, which I have the data right here, and we're going to go through it step by step all together. I apologize, I had to pause because I had to get rid of the emails associated with each thing. But as we look at the actual data in front of us, right, what it actually means is that only 14 out of this top 103 are actually going to be picked. And at the same time, when we see something like this, 440% returns, 230% returns, it's very likely that these individuals will already be disqualified, right? Because they're simply, the risk is disproportionate, and they're clearly going to go over this 10,000 profit in a trade kind of rule, right? And maybe they'll improve themselves for following for the following months. But it goes without saying that if in the event that this is something that is consistent for this guy, so Initium, right? This is not to hate on you. This is not to tell you you're bad, but it's simply to say that if it is the case that you are able to create a 440% return from a 6% max loss on an account with us, right? And this is consistent, then your first order of business should be to go and purchase an account so you can trade with us through those means, right? It just is likely the case that, this was all done over the course of multiple trades. So I'll even show you this just so everyone understands this. If we look at give me 1 second here. I just want to make sure emails are hidden. Here we go. Yeah. So if you look at the full view, right, what you'll see is that, there was one trade, literally one batch of trades right here, that accounted for over $373,000 of profit. There was another batch of trades right here that accounted for over $625,000 of profit, right? And then you had like $20,000 losses, $50K losses, right? So this is completely inconsistent with what we're looking for out of a competition. So it goes very far to show you that just because you finish rank 1 on the website or have this insane return, it doesn't really mean anything, especially when we look at everything and we see that, this is just an example of huge over-risking, huge over-leveraging over and over and over again. You can see the same thing was present for this individual here. This is number 2. Right, this number 2 individual, same exact thing was present. This is over $467,000 gain on one batch of trades, right? So in the event that this is something that you're actually capable of doing, then great. It is the case that the competitions here aren't perfect, but what we try to do is we try to make them as fair as possible. So I, on one hand, want to highlight the fact that if this is what you're able to do, then good for you, and go and start utilizing this, right? Because this is insane if you're able to do that, right? Like, you got your current equity to $675K from a $200K account, which is insane. But at the same time, is to incentivize and remind everybody that works with us and does competitions with us that you actually have a very high chance of winning. So what I mean by that is if we look at this, right, and we try to look at the revised summary here, where you will see the website rank and then our actual ranking based on current ranking, where we're going to go through each equity curve on its own, right? The first one that shows up was actually the 8th one. Everybody else fell into this, they fell into this batch of so many trades were taken at a similar time that they way exceeded this $10,000 per single trade profit, where, they just took trade and this one made this one made like 30K, this one made 40K, or this one made 6K, and this one made 11K, and it all happened in one batch, that it just doesn't count. So for like Initium, STFU, MEIR, XEVV, Trader, Oscar, Tanament, keep this in mind as you continue trading with us and you continue showing up to these competitions, and remember that it's not about these huge numbers and these walloping returns and these huge losses and huge wins. It's simply about rules, right? Like, to the point where if you really look at this, according to this, just based on the top 14 from not even looking at equity curves yet, the 14th guy, Mr. Gutham, was actually ranked 45th on the website. What that means is that the guy that came in this place, where is he? So today, it's very likely that at minimum, this guy right here that came in 45th place with only a percentage return of 7.58%, 7.58%, that's it, is actually likely to win an account. So this is and look, he's 450% back from first place. So this is your big reminder that show up to these competitions and don't worry about the big percentage numbers and the crazy things people are doing. Because even in this case, without a profit cap, so people can make as much as they want, even without the profit cap, the ones that make the most amount of money and have these insane returns actually end up getting disqualified. So the first place actually made only 35% comparatively. So this is the 35% gainer. This is the Mr. Jen, who's likely to come first today. He only made 35% in relation to the first guy who got eliminated or who got disqualified due to the batch of trades for a 440% gain, right? This is your big reminder that you have the capacity to trade in our competitions, and our first place is only at 35% with an unlimited profit cap potential, right? So we're trying to make these as fair as possible, and hopefully you can see that when you watch this video. But now, without further ado, let's actually look at each individual trader, their equity curves, and congratulate them for their actual winnings, or why we might have to skip them as a winner today. And we'll see how and where some of the people place in regards to where they actually were on the leaderboard and where they actually end up placing for their competition prize. All right, let's get into it. All right, so as you can see right here, we have the full list of every single participant and their nicknames, given that they actually finished on the leaderboard and followed all the rules as per our other videos. So you have, as you can see here, NITIM, SCFU, MER, XCVV, Trader, and you can see that aligns perfectly with actually what was on the dashboard of the Ment Funding competition. So all we're gonna do now is we're going to head inside of these. Because we've improved our overall model, our fairness, and the way that we actually judge these competitions, it's made it a lot easier to be able to look at things and just simply, well, validate the actual curves. So that's going to be this next step, right? So I also want to remind everyone here, right, that it really did, in this particular case, come down to the fact that at the end of everything, basically, the highest profit did not determine the winner. I am sure there's others that had really great profits and crazy profits, and we can even see right now in front of us with no profit cap, there are those with 440% returns, 240% returns, 200% returns, 190% returns, and yet it's already very clear just based off of the initial processing that we have disqualifications due to the batch of trades rule, where things are just exceeding like the 5% profit overall. Because again, we don't want to see the people that are all inning trades and have these huge equities to work with, and they just risk inside of these equities, and the account's already at such a big equity that they're gonna win, right? We want to see someone that trades, takes wins, takes losses, takes everything into account that leads to an overall growth in equity curve over time. Right now, I know the time isn't super long. We only have a month at a time, but it's a beautiful representation of what you can do for yourself. And you can see these white values across. As you go through this, the white values are the ones that actually have the potential, the status, to be qualified for a winner. So let's now look at the top 60 trading data. You can see we have this. Let's actually get rid of email so that it's not in the way. You can see we have a few things here. Let's actually remove some of the stuff that's unnecessary. I'm going to pause. Yeah, actually, so we didn't have to remove anything. So we have every nickname, and then what we have is we actually have the full top 60 equity curves, and we can go back and check over things if things don't make sense or if some things look a little bit weird. But what's very nice now is as I look at this rank 1, instantly the thing that goes off my mind is this looks relatively good. This is a trader that takes a good number of trades, that has both winners and losses, right? So he ensures that he's not just playing this like martingale all in, hope that it works and then it all fails kind of system. Instead, he's taking individual trades one by one by one. Let me actually zoom in on this for you guys so you can see it a lot better. Right, this is a trader that's taking let's go like this as well, insert, boom. This is a trader that's taking individual trades one by one by one. Each trade is either leading to a positive value gain of a good amount of risk to reward, right? So if he's risking like one unit or $100, he's making $300. If he's risking $1,000, he's making $3,000. We can actually look, right? So in this case, what this trader is doing, Mr. Rank 1, so this is Jan GX, as we look at some of his actual trades, his individual trades right here, you can see he loses 600, loses 400 to make 8,000, loses 2,000, makes 9,000, loses around 2,000, loses around 2,000, makes 7,000, makes 4,000, loses about 2,000, loses about 2,000, make about 8,000, right? So there is this consistency when we look at this just alone as it stands in taking losses and taking wins. Now, something I'm interested in is to actually ensure that when we look at this, that the client is actually trading over the span of the competition, at least for some of the days of the competition. It's not like all just one day, just like boom, 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 I took all these trades, right? So we're gonna ensure that. Let me make sure I have the right data for it. Okay, so I located the data here. I made sure that nothing else that's like proprietary or special is being shown. But you can see open times and close times, and I know there may be some overlap, and that's completely okay. We ensured that if there is overlap of any sort, that the overlap does not go over the rule set that we have, right? But you can see throughout the span of the competition, this is a trader that opened trades around the beginning, open them through the midpoint, even through the end. It doesn't even have to be this way, but he did. And as a result, it just simply goes without saying that Jan here takes the first place. So when you see the actual ranks, this right here, this curve in itself is a first place curve. And that is amazing because this is actually a trader who had initially, if we look here, come 8th in the overall competition. So congratulations, Jen, for actually winning and getting a $400,000 one-step evaluation. And keep in mind, for all of you guys watching, that you stand the ability to do the exact same for yourself without having to necessarily be on this crazy leaderboard all the way at the top. Simply follow your rules, do it every single month. If you prove it to yourself in a very good way, go ahead and get into competition and evaluation with us. We run discounts here and there. Join our email, like just by making an account on Ment Funding. But keep an eye, and you stand to either get an account that you're funded with or to actually get a free account that you can use to get evaluated and then get funded. Okay, let's keep going on the list here. So rank 1 locks himself in, looks beautiful, congratulations. Rank 2, instantly, just off of looking at it, this looks relatively solid. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. This is a trader that took a loss, took some wins, took some break-evens, some smaller wins, some losses, some wins, and slowly made his way higher over the course of what looks to be around 26 trades. So we're gonna go once again to the top 60. Take a look at this. This was Tina Shem. So let's go ahead and just copy these so I remember all the names. Boom. Jan wins that one. Tina Shem, if you see this, right? So again, the next one was the actual Tina Shem, and that's already with a profit percent of 20% or 19%, which is already significantly different from anything we saw above. So the first place came in with a 37% gain, which is very impressive. The next one came in at 19%. Now, if we look at the full data view and we go and find Tina Shem, see if we can come down. Oh, there it is. When we take a look at this, again, you can see the same thing. Traded throughout the majority, throughout the life of the actual account, around a 2,000 gain, losses, solid losses, gains, and you can see this was actually a batch of trades, so it's minus 12, fine, 600, 200, larger losses, smaller gains, larger gain. So beautiful. When I look at this, all I see is proper management. I see a trader that is able to take on risk, to allow that risk to go against them and lose money without having to blow their account. I see a trader that is willing to trail or manage their trade as it goes into profit. So simply, if they have smaller profits, they're completely okay with that. And in the event of larger and beautiful moves, well, they simply hold the trade goes, and they make a good amount of money. That is a phenomenal curve. Everything about this looks relatively good. Double check it's the right person. It's not. This is actually Harry. So this was Tina right here. Let's make sure that everything lines up. So you have around that 2K loss followed by like a 7K gain, 4K gain, some 2K gains, 2K loss, 8K gain overall. Oh, 4K. So there we go. It's actually these right here. Minus 10, minus 4K, minus 3K. So yeah, overall solid. Looks like a generally 1-to-1 or a little bit higher of an RR risk to reward. So same exact thing going. And just like that, we've actually confirmed the next two. So rank 2 looks really, really good. Right, and rank 3, you can see a lot more chop, a lot more ability to go in the drawdowns. This is actually the one I just analyzed for you guys when we looked at it together. So it's this one right here. That's Harry as we're looking at it, so someone else that passed. I'm going to stop looking at the full data view where we have to look at all those that failed to meet the rules, and instead we're going to look at everyone that was actually okayed and not disqualified, and we're going to look at all of those. So Tina was perfectly fine. Congratulations on your second place finish. And then Harry, this is the one we just went over. This is beautiful, right? Because what we now see is when we look at all these wins, these trails, these small wins, these losses, these larger wins all put together, what we get is this. What we get is a trader that is able to spend time going sideways on his equity curve. This means that through the positive emotions of good trades, through the negative emotions of bad trades, this is a trader that continues to follow a system no matter what. So he goes through that period of time, and as he goes on winning sprees, he goes to all-time highs and moves to new highs on his own equity curve. And then from there, because of the ability to follow his rules and his own psychology, you can see how losses, wins, and losses that actually take him all the way back. If you notice, this trade was the 86th trade, and it actually was the same equity equity low as this equity high back in 26. So that means that for about 50 trades during all that point in time, he actually went back into deep drawdown and then continued trading. Those are the marks and the signs of an amazing trader. Those are the signs of them and the marks of someone that actually understands what they're doing as a trader, and as a result, they're being rewarded for it, right? They understand that each trade is not meant to be a win. Each trade does not mean that they're going to just simply move higher. They're not over-risking, taking stupid levels of risk because they know they need to take losses, and as a result, they move higher and higher, and now their equity curve continues moving. And you can almost imagine that over the next 100, 200, 300 trades, this overall equity curve is likely to keep moving and even comes down a little and then keep moving, and overall it's a beautiful equity curve. So rank 3 for my man Harry here. Congratulations, a beautiful curve. You did absolutely great. Completely on the dot, nailed it in terms of what is expected of you. And yeah, congratulations on your account. Rank 4. Same thing. This reminds me a lot, before I even look at the data, this reminds me instantly of what I see here. Take a look as we're looking at all these and recognize what kind of people are actually being rewarded. I truly ask a lot of you here that are watching this now to consider the type of trading that is now being rewarded. I'm going to make sure that overall it makes sense. It does. Date-wise looks good. You have some 7K gain, 7K loss, 7K gain, 9K gain, 2K loss, 7K gain, 10K loss. So what I would say looking at this is that I think it's still acceptable. I think what you could do, Fikret, is you could definitely lower your risk and overall risk per trade, because as you can see even here, it's unnecessary to win, right? You might even find that you could make more money by lowering that risk and actually do better, right? And that reminds me for rank 3 here, even if at the end of the month, this trader finished somewhere down here, it's still a possibility that he would have come in some rank that would have won him an account, right? So let's just keep that in mind. But Fikret, one thing I can just say to you as I look at this is definitely be a little bit careful in the event that you, you don't need to risk extremely high. So that's the only thing that's becoming a red light. In the future, we might pick up more on this, but right now it's perfectly acceptable, looks completely fine, and congratulations on your 4th place finish. Rank 5. Okay, this looks already a little bit more problematic. So this may be now I don't know yet, right? We're going to check. But this simply could be the case that he just didn't have enough trades that happened during the month, so we don't have a good evaluation of enough trades for him to go through some losses at least, right? Because if anything, he's just going through wins, break-evens, wins, small wins, and wins, which is really, it's good, but we don't know what the losses look like. So let's take a look at who this is. So this is XZZZ. He's trading a few pairs. It looks like gold and Bitcoin, perfectly acceptable. He's trading over the course of just this in between 1017 to 1022, so only about 4 days of trading, and it might be the case that he didn't have any trades to take prior, but that is something that's a little bit problematic, so we'll keep that in mind. Just not a lot of trades there. Around a 63% win rate, that's pretty good. And overall, first trade gets taken, 7K win. The second trade, 8K win. Third looks like just managed to a small profit. Fourth looks like just a break even. Then a really nice win again, and then just a 3K loss. So the fact that he has a $3,000 loss is a really good thing. That's his kind of saving grace. Now, overall looking at this, it doesn't really meet the conditions for at least having 3 solid losing trades that kind of add to the list, right? So I don't know if this is just a trade taken at the end to take a little loss or whatever. So because of this, right, so XZZZ, even though this equity curve is clean, and if you had done this under the Ment Funding evaluation, you would have passed, right? So that's something to consider if this is, fully followed rules. Because of the fact that we don't kind of meet that 3 losses or 3 clean losses that we can kind of look at, it's the only thing that's throwing me off, right? Because oftentimes curves that I see that kind of have just these kind of wins, and again, we're only looking at about 4 days of data. I'm sure there could have been something else within that time. Maybe there wasn't. Feel free to tag me in Discord, ask me any questions you have. Maybe just because of this, I'll take your name down for a potentially very custom discount for a one-time due to the fact that this is the case. But I just want to get a little bit more about your system. But because of this, we're not going to be able to reward you for it And we're going to move on to the next. And as we move on to the next, this, in my opinion, looks absolutely beautiful. It looks like maybe some guy that's running maybe some form of an EA or a system or an algo or something along those lines, or maybe even trading on his own and taking the trades day in, day out. At the moment, I'm going to, of course, confirm this, but let's go and take a look at what he did. So this is nick.rader. Let's take a look at what his trading actually kind of looked like. So he traded throughout pretty much the longevity of the entire account. That's really good to see. And as we take a look at the profits, you know, small profits, some losses, some smaller losses, some profits, some small losses, large profits. So already just looking at this looks solid. It looks like he takes a few trades, which is completely acceptable. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it takes a few small losses, some nice wins. So this actually looks relatively good. When I look at this, right, the way that we want to see this is that it's clear that this is not like 100 actually taken trades or 130, right? Because you can see a lot of these were grouped together, which is completely acceptable. You can group together trades as long as you're not like doubling down or anything like that. So overall, just looking at this looks really solid. I have nothing against it, and you look great. So let's go ahead and copy this over, and there we are. So now, just out of respect for all of your time, because we're at around 25 minutes, so I think the video is at a decent enough spot. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut to the overall Discord post. All right, here we have it. So after full processing, after going through every single place and every single curve, we actually have the final solution. And I actually want to show you guys something crazy. So here we have the rank before. This is actually what they appeared on the website as. If I got one of these wrong, I apologize, but this is the full correct version where all the processing is done, but these should be correct. So Jan, which we saw, was rank 9 before on the list and ended rank 1. Congratulations. Tina, rank 16, ended rank 2. Harry was rank 18, ended rank 3. Rank 4, Fikret, was 24, ended 4. And look at something interesting. He only had a 229k gain. That's still crazy, but that's only a 15% profit when, you know, some of the first places that we initially had, when you look at it, was like 400%, 300%. So it's a reminder that this percentage gain is far from the most important thing. Focus on your rules and focus on taking good losses and good trades, and you're going to have a chance to actually win. Rank 29, Nick, who became rank 5. Then you have Dioderno from 32 to rank 6. Eli from 35 to 7. And you can see he only had a 10% gain, right? That means that literally he wouldn't have even passed Ment Funding yet. Same for Dioderno here. He would not have passed the Ment Funding the Ment Funding evaluation at all. Right? He wouldn't have passed it yet, and yet he's winning a free evaluation for himself. Deleep, same thing. Look at this. Axelrod, who comes in rank 9, actually finishes far off of what the evaluation calls for, and yet now wins an account because all he did was simply trade his system, take a few wins, a few losses, and end with $214,000 profit, which is only around I believe 14% profit gain. This is amazing. You have Bui over here with 217, ends rank 10. Maidabo, who, if you actually take a look at this, only had 7 trades overall. 7 trades. And yet he hit enough losses and only had a 5% gain and ended up finishing rank 11th in this overall competition. And then you have Gutham here, who goes from rank 45 in the overall competition with only a $215,000 gain, instantly to rank 12, and then we finish off beautifully, as you can see here with rank 13 and rank 14. Both literally just scratching a 5% profit mark on their accounts. One at 212,000, which is way below 220,000, which would be the needing to pass an evaluation, and 213,000. So congratulations to all the winners, and keep an eye on the Ment Funding Discord for any future discounts or anything. Just join it up. It's very easy. It's free to join at least. No shit, it's just a Discord. And I'll see you all in the next video, because thanks, guys.